Okay.
All right, thank you, everybody. Tonight is a regular monthly meeting of the Clinton Inland Wetlands Commission. It's Tuesday, May 7th, 2024. The time is 7:03 p.m. Sherry, could you call roll for tonight?
Lawrence Edwards. Edward Alberino.
Here.
Michael Florio is absent. Thomas Welch. Absent. Bert Schmitz.
Bert, are you on mute? I can see his name. He's here. Bert?
We're on Zoom meeting.
Bert, can you hear us?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, you're here then. Ryan Tardizel. Scott Harley.
Here.
Robert Corson.
Here.
Chris Horvath.
Here.
Douglas Elliott.
Here.
Okay, can we seat our three alternate members?
Yes, you may.
Do I need to specify who's for who?
Yes, you do.
Okay, can we seat Bob Corson for Mike Florio? Doug Elliott for Lawrence Edwards? And Chris Horvath for, who am I missing?
Tom Welch and Ryan.
Or Tom Welch.
And Chris for Tom. And you have to appoint an acting secretary because Mike's not here.
Okay, I'll appoint Bob Corson. We shouldn't need you tonight, Bob.
Okay.
Okay.
Excuse me, we got Lawrence Edwards on the phone. He's got the wrong, I'm gonna give him the right numbers here, okay?
Yeah, sorry, Ryan Tardizel's on the same call. Wrong link.
He what?
Ryan Tardizel just texted me, and he's
Yeah, I'm gonna give
waiting room
Lawrence
too.
Edwards. Okay, hold on. Hold on.
All right, just give me a minute to give Ryan the link to
Hey.
the agenda.
No,
He's
it's
here.
There you are.
yeah, it's this link. Just nobody was letting me in. It's weird.
It's weird because of the on my screen, it's only showing in little tiny letters.
Okay,
There's
so
still one. Oh, no, I think we've got everybody now. So
okay, so
came in.
Tom Welch. Hi, Tom. How are you?
Tom Welch.
He is on mute, but he's here. I see his picture, his name in the square.
Okay, so Chris is no longer seated.
Tom, are you on mute?
Lawrence should be on momentarily, Mr. Chairman.
I think I got mute off now.
Yep,
Yes,
you're
we
good.
can hear you. Thank
Tom.
you, Tom.
All right, thank you, everybody. Sorry, a little tough technical difficulties getting started, but we can go right into item agenda number 2. So minutes from the March 5th, 2024 regular meeting review. And if anyone doesn't have any changes to those, I'll take a motion to approve.
I make a motion to approve.
Who moved?
Bob Corson.
Bob.
Corson. Okay, minutes.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second
Yeah.
that.
Okay, thank you,
Was that
Ryan.
Ryan?
Yep. Any discussion on the minutes from the March 5th meeting? Okay, all those voting in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Anyone oppose or abstain? Okay, motion carries.
Nobody abstained?
Nobody.
Okay, Douglas Elliott and Tom Welch were not on the commission at the time of that meeting. So I think they have to abstain because they were not
Yes.
on the commission at that time.
Okay, I guess Doug and Tom, since you weren't technically on the commission when we had those
Abs-
meetings, you guys mind
Yeah.
abstaining?
Yes, no, I don't mind.
Okay,
That's
thanks,
fine.
Doug.
Doug
Okay.
and Tom,
Okay, they both abstained then.
okay, and Brian
All
McCord.
right. Item agenda number 3, receipt of applications and set a site walk. I don't believe we received any
Okay,
applications.
Hi, so Scott, we did receive an application, but it didn't come in until 5:45 last night. So it was at the end of after the end of business. I have not had a chance to review it. But this is an application that you have seen before, but it was withdrawn. It was for 327 East Main Street. Greg Fettis was the applicant, the agent, and they had withdrawn the application. So I did take a brief look at the materials today, and because, again, this all happened quite last minute, we weren't able to give you the link or send you materials, but there was an email that Abby Pearsall, our town planner, sent to Greg Fettis on October 18th with a cost estimate from the town's consulting engineer for peer review of the application. And there were a number of additional items that needed to be submitted. I don't know if those have been submitted because the review is usually $500 and it was going to be $6,000 given the extensive nature of the review. So basically, they did submit materials. They did pay the fee. We have not had an opportunity to review it. The applicant wanted to get on the agenda for tonight. So it's really, going to hand it over to you and you guys can decide. There was a site walk before, but we would need another one, especially because we have 3 new members on the commission. So I will let Greg speak as the applicant. And you have to decide if you want to accept it and make a motion because it was submitted so late, if you choose to do that, or you can postpone it and table it until next month.
Greg, tell us what the deal is with this place, man.
Oh, good evening. Greg Fettis with Fettis Engineering. Once again, kind of in the same position as last, was it October, November? So, at the time we were full speed ahead trying to get approvals in place so we can start construction. So my client can stay active in Clinton. His current lease is in question, and he's just trying to find a long-term place in Clinton. So we had kind of given up on everything back in November, and then whatever it is, 4 or 5 months later, they circled back around, and now we're kind of back in that same place we were 6 months ago or 5 months ago. But yes, we submitted late. Yes. I think we're much more complete now than we were last time. We probably have a couple of little things that we need to add, but there's plenty of time. So what we would request that accept the application. I'm happy to kind of give you a brief overview and share a screen. But we would request that you accept the application, set a site walk, and set a public hearing for next month. And again, what I said last time is if for any reason staff doesn't think we're ready to proceed, we will grant whatever extensions are necessary in order to move the date out. We're just trying to get the ball rolling as quickly as possible. And again, I apologize. Happy to share a screen and just give you a brief overview if that's something the commission would like to see.
Yeah, I think that'd be good, Greg. I guess before we do that, just a couple questions. So
Yes, sir.
Kathy, what was materially incomplete with the application?
Well, I can briefly read to you. So the application itself, the fee had to be paid. It was paid. The only other thing I needed was consent from the property owner for the application. I don't know if that came in or not yet. Did that come in, Greg?
I'm not sure if it got submitted to the uploaded. If I can check and if it hasn't, submit it first thing in the morning.
Okay. And then, so in terms of what he needs for just the application, that everything else appears to be there. The items on this long, email that went from Abby were basically when it was going to be submitted for review to the town engineer. There was, a number of things they wanted, like an alternatives analysis that did not make it clear whether a smaller building was considered or whether the access drive could be removed or more narrow. Wetlands report, the limit of work needed to be identified on the plan, details on methods and design for wetland mitigation, soil data and design detail for stormwater, including infiltration areas, pre and post site conditions for stormwater treatment information, construction sequencing and erosion and sedimentation control, details for retaining walls, including for construction methods and grading at the base. And it says these are some additional items that we will need. There will likely be additional questions from the engineer when the review begins. Because there's also creation of wetland and, there's quite a bit and there's flood zone too.
Okay, and I assume none of that has been submitted to our engineer for approval.
Well, the application was withdrawn. So,
Oh, so that was from the previous?
yes,
Okay, and was that information submitted within this
I
application?
haven't had, honestly,
Yeah, no.
we didn't get it till this morning and I had such a busy day. I didn't even have a chance to review it properly. So I don't know.
So Scott, Mr. Chairman, I can address that. Greg Fettis again. A lot of that has been submitted. Abby did upload that. I did not read that today, so I'll go through that extensively tomorrow and make sure we address everything on there. We did complete stormwater analysis, pre and post, complete drainage design. This time around, we didn't really have that last time when we submitted. Erosion control has been submitted. The retaining walls, I don't believe are on the plan yet, but I'll make sure that those are addressed. So I think we addressed most of it. I think it's a much better position than we were last time when we submitted. I really think we pushed the envelope last time. This time, obviously we're late, and I again apologize for that. But we had a little bit of extenuating circumstances, so I hope the commission can at least give us a shot here. I'd appreciate it.
Okay, I guess, as a commission, maybe we can discuss to see if what everyone thinks as far as accepting the application. Applicant also asked if we could set the public hearing. I'm open for comments, opinions. If you're looking for mine, I'd be okay accepting applications since we saw it before, but maybe not setting the public hearing. Making sure that our engineer has time to actually respond, provide comment before we get to the public hearing phase.
Yeah, that's exactly where I'd be at that also. Greg's done a lot of work with the commission, and we're definitely sensitive to a local business wanting to get up and running as soon as possible. And yeah, I think that would be the most likely thing here is set another site walk, get it moving. It definitely feels too early to set a public hearing before we know more information here.
Because we'd have to allow, I don't know what's been submitted yet, and we'd have to give the town
Yeah.
engineer ample time, because this is a very, very detailed review. So it might take him a while to go through.
Yeah, it's a new building on Main Street. I mean, it's a big project.
Well, all the wetlands and everything too, so.
Greg, do you have I know last time your clients was really raring to go to break ground. Do you think he has a realistic expectation of when he wants to break ground here?
Well, I think, if I think last time we conceded that a public hearing would be required and that it's a significant activity. We are filling some wetlands. We're creating some wetlands. I think it's 2-to-1 ratio. And I don't know if who's familiar with the property, but there's a lot of wetlands that were filled and look like lawn now. Those would be renovated or refurbished. So all in all, I think we're probably a 4-to-1 ratio of filling a little bit of wetlands and kind of renovating other wetland areas that have previously been filled and creating a couple of wetland areas. And we're talking, probably almost 5,000 square feet of creation and another 5,000 or 6,000 square feet of taking on and basically putting it back to a wetland. That's going to be, appropriately planted and maintained. Now if anyone that was there remembers that it's a little rough with the shape the existing wetland is in, separate of the filled wetlands. So realistically, you know, 2 or 3 months for wetlands to get through, hopefully, and then right to planning and zoning for site plan approval.
Okay.
So realistically, 5 or 6 months.
Yep.
But we would love to, any time we chop off of that is time that he'll be open, given after construction. So whatever we can move the timeline up, and I know it's not a lot, but every little bit counts. So again, I think I'm not sure if you can schedule the site walk and then maybe schedule the public hearing after the site walk to kind of see where we are, or schedule it, and if we have to move it, we'll move it, which is what I think we did last time. So, again,
Scott, can we do that? We have to have the engineer scheduled before we set a public hearing, right?
Yep.
So that's probably our biggest hurdle at this point, right?
I think it's gonna be a lot to ask him to get all this done in time for a public hearing.
Yeah, I don't think the public hearing can be set until that would be my opinion anyway, is that like site walk, I'd be very comfortable going out to a site walk, getting a good feel for it, but I don't think a public hearing can be set. And I don't know how it works. Does a public hearing need to be set at a normal monthly meeting, or can it be set in the interim?
It needs to be set at the meeting.
Yeah, so it'd be next month meeting for that.
Okay, anyone else from the commission have an opinion?
No, I agree with both you. Definitely maybe set a site walk and just hold off on the public hearing until we hear from the town engineers.
I definitely concur with that.
Yep, I agree as well.
Absolutely. You do the site walk and have the town engineer review all the documents and everything, because there may be he may just nix it, you know what I mean?
Yep.
There's a lot of work there, a lot of work to be done.
Okay, so there looks
That's
to
my
be
opinion.
consensus. So why don't we talk about sidewalks? What are some days that's good for staff and commission?
We usually
I know
do
staff
Thursdays
You're still good
because
with
we work till
Thursdays?
7, so 5:30 or 6 on a Thursday.
Okay. Would
I-
6?
Yeah, 6 o'clock. I should be home by 6.
6 is good for me.
So
Six is
I
good.
guess commission members, would Thursday the 16th at 6 o'clock work for everybody?
The 16th of June? May?
May.
Okay.
No, I cannot make that or the 23rd. So
And I can't make the 16th because I have a harbor commission meeting at that time on the 16th.
Okay.
You guys, Greg, I assume it would be okay for them to run out there after hours if they were able to.
yeah, I think we last time
We had that.
we offered that. So whoever couldn't make it on whatever date.
I guess how many people can make it to that date? So far, the same people that went last time can go.
But
Yeah, we
Ryan, if we go out there, start going out there one at a time, there's
Yeah,
so
it's
much
tricky.
to be seen there. I'm just
Sure.
saying.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
I
Well,
think
the wetlands have to be delineated if people are gonna go on their own, so they know where they're
Yeah.
looking at. And also, as Eddie just said, he's absolutely right. You have to go out. We can't go in groups because then it's a meeting. So, but we need everything staked out so people know what they're looking at.
what
and
you're
where-
looking at.
How
Yeah.
many people do we need on the sidewalk?
We can do, I mean, if we schedule, we can do, it's not like we need a quorum or anything. But if people go out, like I said, it just needs to be individually, and Greg or whomever needs to just stake it out so we know where the wetlands are, where the activity will be, if he could somehow label it. So
Greg, you
people
could
go, they
stake
know.
those, right? You can stake them.
Yeah, we can flag. I think the landowner had removed all the flags, so we'll put them back.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
I was at the last site walk myself,
Right.
so.
Yep.
It's not like I'm not familiar with it.
So it's really our new members. We want to make sure that we're out there with them,
Yeah.
since they're the only ones that really haven't seen it.
Well, I
Yep.
can always have them call me, and if they want to schedule, I can take them out if they're available during the day or morning, or I'll be very flexible about that.
So we
Time-wise.
still on for May 16th at 6?
So I guess who couldn't make the 16th?
I cannot.
I can't because I got another committee meeting that night at that time.
Okay,
So
so
unless
that
the meeting, unless the commission meeting gets out by 6 o'clock, but I don't know.
yeah, you don't know. Okay.
5:30, I have no idea.
Doug, is that commission meeting always on a Thursday at 6 p.m.?
It normally would be this Thursday at 5:30, from 5:30 to 6:30. But it's been pushed off to next Thursday this week.
Okay.
So that's why I can't do it next week. Generally speaking, it would be the same week as this meeting, but on a Thursday, but it's just been pushed back 1 week.
Doug, if you contact me, I'll be happy to go out there with you another time.
I would be happy to do that.
Sure, that's no
great.
problem at all.
Okay, and it was Tom, you were the other that could make this Thursday? Who was the second one? It was Doug and
Bobby Corson.
Me, yeah.
oh, Bob. Okay,
But
sorry.
I've already, like I said, I went to the last.
So you
site
already
walk.
saw it. Okay.
Yeah, so that's pretty easy.
So why don't we set it for the 16th at 6 o'clock? Rain date the following week on the 23rd. Hopefully we don't need the rain date. For a site visit.
And
Okay.
for the new members, give the address.
Yep. So anyone that can't make the 16th, just let Kathy know, and maybe you three can get together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do
problem.
a site walk. Okay.
Yep.
Same with Lawrence Edwards, since he wasn't able to make the meeting tonight.
Does everybody know the address?
No,
We'll have the application in hand by then.
Right.
Sherry will send out the information too about the site walk. She usually sends out the site walk agenda. So it'll have the application link and the date, time. And then if anybody has a problem, I'm happy to go out another time. So just let me know and I'll be flexible with your schedules.
Does the application include a site map too as well?
Yes,
I assume.
Yep.
Okay, great.
It'll have a full survey.
Good, good.
it's been submitted. Yeah. Mhm.
Okay, well, so I'll take a motion to, well, I guess we need to add this to the agenda first, right? Because
You
this,
receive
Yes.
it. Yeah.
do you have the IWC number? So I'll need a motion to add to the agenda IWC.
I can get that to you in a minute. Oh, it's 24, IWC 24-1.
Okay, the first one, 24-001. So
And
I'll make a motion to accept.
we have to add it to the agenda first, since it wasn't. on the
I'll
agenda.
make a motion to add to the agenda IWC
24.
24-001.
Okay, do I have a second?
I second it.
Okay, Bob
Who's the
Corson.
second?
Bob Corson. Any discussion? All those voting in favor say aye.
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 Anyone oppose or abstain? Okay, so now it's on the agenda. Now I can take a motion to accept the application, set a site walk for the 16th at 6 p.m. The rain date, the 23rd at 6 p.m. as well.
I'd like to make a motion to accept IWC 24001 and set a site walk for May 16th at 6 o'clock for the rain date of the 23rd of May.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second
Yeah.
that.
Any discussion from the commission? All right, all those voting in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone oppose or abstain? Okay, motion carries. All right, thank you, Mr. Fettis. The 16th at 6 o'clock. We'll see you there.
Thank you, Chairman Harley and Commission for considering this application.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right, that was the only application, Kathy?
Yes.
After? Okay,
Yes.
so on agenda number 4, this is April 25th, 2024, request for release of bonds from Tanya Smansky. This was a bond posted in the amount of $5,000 for IWC 21-002R 108B Long Hill Road. It's now known as 110A Long Hill Road. Corey Szymanski was the applicant. So Kathy, you had sent us your WEO report.
Yes,
That
so,
included a recommendation on this one.
yeah, so the thing is that, I mean, it looks great, the house looks great, but the problem is that I think that, that there's, and the applicant was very understanding. I talked with him and his wife. I don't think they realized when, they received all the information, what it meant to establish vegetation. And I explained to them right now, as you could see from my photographs, it's all dirt and rock.
Yeah.
There's no vegetation at all, and it's on a slope. So I explained to them that needed to be, established in order to keep everything out of the wetlands. And so, I talked to them at length. I, said, give me a call if you want. We can talk about it some more. I'd be happy to come back out. So, but at this time, I don't think you can release the bond because it hasn't met the conditions. And they know. I told them.
Okay, any discussion from the commission?
I saw in her report that they had taken down the silt fence. Has that been re-put up?
You're right, Robert. I did mention that the silt fence was supposed to remain. It said that in the general conditions. And when I went out there, I said, "Ooh, you removed the silt fence." And he said, "Yes." And I said, "You really need to put that back up and establish the vegetation." So I'm going to get back in touch with them and just touch base to see if they need any information on, seed mixes or, plants and things like that, so I can help get them some resources. And then I'm going to ask them to put the silt fence back because I already did, but I just want to make sure it's done so I can set up an inspection.
I
Excellent.
also noticed in one of the photos, part of the silt fence that was there was knocked down too.
Yeah,
So you can
yeah,
ask them to reestablish that.
absolutely. And what I'll do is I'll go back out and then I'll send you pictures.
Excellent.
So do we need to act on this as a commission? I guess official.
No, I don't think so. Well, I mean, maybe you want to, just to keep it clean, to say that there's a motion that, you've made the determination based on my report or from the photos or however you want to word it, that you're at this time not able to release the bond.
So it would be a motion to deny the request for release.
I'll
of
make a
bond.
motion to deny the request per Kathy's information that was sent to us in the pictures.
Okay, do I have a second?
Yeah,
I'll second.
make a second.
Okay, either Doug or Ryan, I heard them both. Any discussion from the commission? Okay, all those voting in favor of denial of the request of release the bond, say aye.
All right.
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed or abstain? Okay. Motion is denied. Item agenda number 5. So this preliminary discussion, this is work on pedestrian bridge at Clinton Crossings, 20 Killingworth Turnpike.
Right. So Abby and I met with the group and we made some suggestions. They came back with revised plans. And then they asked that they could come to the Wetlands Commission just for a preliminary meeting before they apply to get, your feedback. And so I will turn it over to, I'm not sure who's taking the reins. Is it Max or
This is Brian Fleming,
Brian?
Sorry.
Okay.
and I'll hand it. Appreciate it. Thank you. So my name is, and we are working with Kathleen over at Clinton Premium Outlets, and our project consists of evaluating the existing pedestrian bridge that connects the north and the south outlets shopping area. And for the last 2 years, we've done a bridge safety inspection of the structure, and we've documented the condition. And now we are monitoring it for the deterioration of the steel and other elements of the structure. And we've identified that there's a need to make improvements and or replacement of the structure. And we are preparing for replacement due to the cost of rehab. Is going to be fairly significant. So,
Excuse me,
yeah.
Brian, you're kind
You're
of going
breaking
in and out.
Oh, am I? Okay.
Yes. Every other word.
Yeah.
Connection. Can you take over?
Sure. Can you guys hear me all right?
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
All right. Can I share my screen? Does that work?
Yes. Sherry, can you give him screen permission, please?
Let's see.
You just have to click on the three dots on the right side. Perfect. Thank you.
Oh,
Success.
okay.
You can see this plan sheet and the document at the left, yeah?
Yep.
Very good. So I sort of have one document side by side here, but I believe, or hopefully, you received this document in advance of the meeting with a bit of time to review. But this is the existing pedestrian bridge that Brian was mentioning. There are two shopping areas, one to the north and one to the south, and this existing bridge provides direct pedestrian access between them over this ravine with a wetland in the middle. What Brian was saying, I don't know if you got all of it, was that basically over the past several years, we have done various studies on this bridge, structural. We've done hydraulic studies to assess, what the capacity beneath the bridge needs to be to allow for connectivity upstream, downstream, and basically where we're at is evaluating options for replacement of this structure because it has become deficient. So we've had some discussions with Kathy. I want to present, I guess, my findings on the wetland below the bridge. Sort of walk you through that. This is the delineated wetland boundary, also shown on this plan sheet at right. I went out and looked at soils, dominant vegetation, hydrology, and I'm going to try and give you a sort of picture of what I saw out there. This is sort of from downstream looking up. I can try and zoom in here for you. Maybe that'll make this easier. There's the existing bridge in the background. This wetlands, ordinary quality. There's a lot of skunk cabbage here, dominated by red maple, yellow birch. That is sort of downstream of the bridge, let's say. This is the area below the bridge. You can see it looks significantly different. There's a sort of lower area of flow towards the middle. In the back, there's some wet areas dominated by invasives such as Phragmites. There's some Japanese honeysuckle back there as well. Here's just another view of what's below the bridge. There's a little bit of seepage coming through some gravel over here, and then this sort of left to right is the direction of flow below the bridge. Here's just another view, sort of looking at one of the bridge piers. You can see some seepage over here. This is the slope up to the southern parking lot, which is stabilized with riprap. There's some trash throughout here, as you can see. So those are sort of existing conditions. We go ahead. Do you want me to pause for a second? No. Okay.
Yes. For the record, excuse me, for the record, Larry, Lawrence Edwards just joined the meeting at 7:35. So that alternate is no longer seated for him.
So we evaluated several alternatives. We looked at potential impacts of these various alternatives in terms of wetland impact. We looked at cost. We looked at longevity. We looked at their ability to provide a direct link between the two shopping areas. So the first was a no action alternative. That really didn't meet the project purpose and need. We have this bridge will become deficient, won't be able to be used. There would be no impacts, but there would then be no direct link between these two shopping areas. The second alternative considered was a rehab alternative, and we have, and maybe I'll show you the table, sort of comparing them, be easier to see. But This is the rehab alternative on the right, with the orange shown as temporary wetland impacts. So there would be a road constructed down to the bottom of the ravine here to allow for work on the bridge. It would need to be tented so that repairs could take place, sanding, painting, things like that. There would need to be some matting potentially to allow for machinery down there. That would really only extend the life of the bridge another 10 to 15 years, would cost $2.1 million. So given that that was the most expensive and really wasn't going to provide the long-term solution we're looking for, that was not our preferred alternative. We looked at replacement of the bridge with a bridge as well. That would have a similar level of impact here. We would need the same access below the bridge to replace the bridge. The permanent impacts there wouldn't really be permanent impacts. There'd be no additional fill because we would replace the bridge with a similar structure. But as you can see, our opinion on cost here was $1.8 million, service life of 30 to 40 years, and slightly more maintenance requirements. We did not think this was the ideal alternative here. The preferred alternative, which we are looking for some feedback on, is a culvert rather than a bridge. Again, we've shaded impacts here. This alternative costs $1.3 million, would have a longer service life than a bridge, and we believe impacts are not, let's say, would not materially detract from the function of the wetland system. We have permanent impacts shown in red here. There's about 0.05 acres of permanent wetland impact, something like 2,400 square feet. And that's mainly from the fill to hold up the culvert, but there would be connectivity between the wetland system, basically to the east and the west. And as I showed before, the area below the bridge is really is low quality, provides limited function beyond just connectivity between areas that are let's say more functional or more valuable upstream and downstream. So that this area of culvert is what do we have here, 64 feet wide. This bridge deck right here is approximately 20 feet wide. So we're looking at, sort of 3 times the width of that. So maybe it comes out sort of to the edges of this photo. It's generally confined to this poor quality area with invasive species and minimal ecological function. So that's what we're proposing. I guess we're just looking for feedback there on whether that could be permitted, what sort of design elements or modifications you would want to see as part of an application, so that we can hopefully get an approval here for this preferred alternative.
So, I mean, I can open it up to commission for, initial comment. I guess one kind of off the top of my head. So the structure you said is about 60 feet wide when existing is 25.
The existing bridge is roughly 20 feet wide as its widest. The culvert is 64 feet.
64, then we put head walls, and the dark lines there represent the head walls that go vertical, and the wing walls
got it.
try to shorten the fill zone. So this culvert, if you go to the last page of our PDF on the right there, Max, is an open bottom culvert, and it's what is upstream for the vehicle crossing. So if we go about 300 feet upstream, there's an existing single radius arch pipe creating our vehicle crossing that you see today.
This right over here.
that's how we got to the structure. Is it's done here for the vehicles, but there's no pedestrian sidewalks for ADA safety. So we're really trying to take the same structure type and move it downstream and provide.
We're losing you, Brian.
Yeah. So I guess,
But I think we got your point.
Sorry.
yeah, so, I mean, the question I have is, I guess, why is the structure over widened from existing? If it's just for like pedestrian use, it's not for vehicles, right?
No, it's not for vehicles. It's the culvert is wider, just because of the nature of the structure. You know, we have to sort of have this earthen embankment here, along the sides, whereas the existing structure is a bridge. The trail itself is roughly the same width as the existing bridge, the trail on top of the culvert.
Right.
We're not proposing to widen the trail. It's just the structural support is wider for a culvert.
Mr. Chairman, may I ask you a question?
Sure, go ahead. Eddie.
I just happen to have a little knowledge with this. I worked on the power lines out through Wyndham all the way out, and they bought they bought mats in and everything, and the trucks drove on the mats. Everything was on the mats, and when they left, the contour of the land was exactly the same as it was when they started. So, are you gonna guarantee, do that kind of work? I mean, bringing mats for all the equipment to be on, and leave it in the pristine condition is as it is now.
I think the plan would definitely be to utilize mats to minimize impacts
To the wetlands.
to the wetlands. Yeah.
Is the height of the culvert, is it going to be effectively like the same grade and elevation as the bridge is?
The rise of culvert would be roughly 9 feet. So we're talking 14, 16 feet at the bottom of the bridge right now.
Is that pretty? Oh, okay. So it's
But
low.
you're talking
It's
about
gonna be,
Brian, you're talking about like earth to top of culvert.
Correct.
Ryan,
Yep.
Ryan, you're asking about the height of the trail as opposed to the height of the trail right
Correct.
now, right? Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Is that going
Right.
to be pretty much the same?
I mean, the existing structure depth is only 1.5 feet thick. So I think we are putting more fill on top of the barrel. If that.
But where does the existing bridge fall, like on this profile? Is the basically the top of the proposed slope? Like, is the trail on top of the
Roughly, yep.
culvert at the same place
Okay.
as the existing trail? Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah, we're
And
not.
it's covered as well.
Yeah. What's that?
The trail will be covered as well, or it'll be open?
Kathleen, you can speak up, but I believe we've been thinking of keeping it open.
Correct.
And one other question, gentlemen, the culvert itself, how wide is it? How big is the culvert?
34 foot span, then 9 feet tall. There's different options out there on the market. We just picked one that to reduce the amount of fill, try to make our span big enough to reduce the wetland impacts. So we have some flexibility that comes in the final design phase.
I'm just throwing this out there. You know what happened at Morgan, right? The whole everything washed away. That bridge, like that. They put a bridge, a walking bridge, a culvert.
It was a similar system, but that was for a water course. This
It was
is
for
Right.
a water
for a
course.
wetland.
It was.
We have sorry, excuse me. We have done some hydraulic analysis. So we would ensure that the culvert is properly sized to carry flows.
This culvert's actually bigger than the roadway culvert, which is upstream. So we're producing a larger oversized area to actually just reduce the wetland impacts. So
I was just asking. I was just curious.
nope, you're fine.
I guess my concern would be that we'd want to see what the actual impacts to the wetlands are.
Mhm.
And get that from a sort of, I don't know how it works, but maybe a third party professional some sort of
Mhm.
report that we can review and really see, like, it's a lot more footprint right in the wetlands that is going to be permanently covered. If it is in fact wetlands, or maybe it's not wetlands anymore, who knows, but we'd really like to, I think, at least me personally, would be comfortable with it based on what a competent certified soil scientist would say.
I am not a certified soil scientist. I am a professional wetland scientist, and this delineation was done by me about 2 weeks ago, so I believe it to be accurate.
The commission can get a third party. We have that in the regulations for
Okay.
another opinion.
Yeah, I think we just want to, and I think that the town probably expects of us to get a, like a third party, no vested interest type party out there to take a look at it and see what they say.
Understood.
And that's again, maybe the rest of the commission doesn't feel that way. I don't know. That's the way I would think of it. But overall, I personally wouldn't be opposed to it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sort of hoping that these pictures speak for themselves a little bit, sort of the difference between, this downstream and this below the existing structure.
Sure.
But so where would that come in the process? That would be after we made a formal application?
Yeah, the commission could refer it to a third party and it's billed to the applicant, and then they would have a certified soil scientist, and then they would produce a report that the commission would be able to review.
Okay.
Just two last questions I had. So with the structure, did you look at different alternatives to maybe shifting this, I guess, page right, but it would be to the south where the wetlands get smaller in order to minimize impacts and going off alignment a little bit? Or with the structure that you have, it's a wide structure. Have you looked at anything that's narrower in the attempt to try to limit the impacts? Because these would all be permanent impacts.
Sure. I think the location is set up based on the way the mall's set. The walkways for the north is directly straight across the bridge. So shifting left or right, I think we would have to work with Clinton Premium Outlets to see if that's an option. We did not look at that yet. Shrinking up from 64 feet to making the barrels smaller will add height to our retaining walls, which it's an option if that's we can explore in final design. I think what we're trying to do and explore is, can we hone in on a structure type so that when we submit for an application, we don't have to backtrack and redesign and do a different type of bridge. Now that's a culvert versus a bridge is a different design amount for us, and we're trying to be wise with the recommendation we provide and reduce the impacts to the wetland at the same time.
I think part of it is wetland quality too. There's a balancing act there between, like, okay, so maybe there's a little less fill up here, but maybe the area you are impacting is slightly higher quality and you're losing a little more ecological value. Just something to consider.
Sure.
So I don't know if we can give you yes, we'll approve it. I think you could take what everyone in the commission has said to and make a determination, but I don't see an issue in working through a solution, because obviously you need to do something if the pedestrian bridge is failing. Do you know how much time is actually left on the structure? Is it like critical?
Well, I don't think we could set a time to it. It's just the amount of deterioration continues. To prevent the deterioration, we have to sandblast, repaint, and strengthen because we have steel that's getting lost. So we are monitoring it on a yearly basis with them. We are trying to also then come up with a plan to address the existing structure.
Are you gonna shut the bridge down? I mean, if it's,
We've already
Cool.
taken vehicle traffic, meaning maintenance vehicle traffic off of it to try to reduce that load, because we do have section loss of the steel and critical parts. And it's the deterioration is not going to stop until we do something about
you keep saying the deterioration, is that the concrete, the cement, I mean,
it. The deterioration that we're
metal?
seeing is the bridge is constructed of steel tubing and in a truss style, prefabricated
I
truss.
see that, yep.
And as you can see on the left and right sides, the water comes off the bridge deck. There's no curb up there. There's no
Oh, yeah.
drain. So it's hitting our critical points at the ends of those floor beams, which are connected to the truss up above.
Okay.
So our deterioration is there. We have deterioration on the concrete as well, but I'm more or less worried about the steel. And we can't stop it unless we sandblast it, repaint it, strengthen it. And that takes a lot of effort.
I moved here when they built it. How old is this?
We believe it's early 2000s.
That's not long.
That isn't.
No.
It should last at least 50, 60 years.
Yep.
So we're trying to move the process along and be proactive here instead of reactive. And but we know we're going across this wetland, and I think the other part that's hard to tell here is there's an 8-foot grade difference from north to south. So the existing structure is set up with 5 spans because of the ADA compliance here. So putting a bridge back in is difficult, but putting a culvert in helps with that ADA trail going up. So we can work through the compliance on both ends, but it's hard to show that in plan view here, the ADA.
1, 2, 3. Trying to find the piers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah.
Wow. 20-something years. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. I don't know if I want to cross that bridge anymore.
It really should last 50, 60 years.
Well,
Can I
one
ask-
thing I can say is that we have been working with Kimley and Horn in evaluating the bridge regularly so that we can make the appropriate make safe options so that guests will be safe as they're crossing and so forth. So certainly something we've been actively doing, but now it's just a matter of we want to prepare for the appropriate change, because we are going to have to make a decision and make a submission on how to put the appropriate structure in place.
What's the plan to get retail customers from point A to point B during construction?
Lots of signage. Well, we'll be working through that hopefully when it comes to the main construction portions, selecting the appropriate times seasonally.
Yeah.
I mean, we may have to be creative if it's a matter of working to shuttle shoppers from one section to another. We're not expecting people to have to walk across the vehicle bridge. But we will have to take that in consideration of how we're going to get, make sure shoppers know to go down below and back and forth. So,
What sort of would actually be into the wetlands from the bridge?
What was the question? Sorry.
What sort of footings are actually going to be inside the wetlands going to, supporting the bridge? Is it going to be, the existing type of cement and concrete, or is it going to be more like pylons and some innovative type of, steel structures that, go down into the wetlands?
With the culvert, we're talking about something like this.
So what the
Certainly
culvert,
not.
yeah,
Right.
that's what the culvert option would be. And that's the open bottom concept right there. If we do put a bridge in, that's where we need to then study what kind of bridge we go. Do we go concrete foundations similar to what we see today? There are options of bedrock is only about 6 feet down based on some of the geotechnical work we've done already. So driving steel piles in there is going to be difficult. So we'd have to look at, concrete caissons. So that part hasn't been done, but that's more substantial than going a different alternative.
Right.
So that's where we're trying to make sure we go down an acceptable path, and knowing that the application is going to happen after plans are being prepared.
What's the life expectancy of the new bridge?
What?
40 to 50 years.
How many?
40 for the culvert, 40, 50 years is what it said on that chart.
Yeah, let me try to find it.
40, 50 years for the new one.
Yeah.
30 to 40 for a bridge.
Yeah, I see it. Okay.
Is there
Any other-
anything to be done with the materials to make it last up to 100 years?
He's an engineer.
Well, the reason I ask is I think that, aesthetically, I think the culvert is the best looking option, but there are other options that, would last longer for roadway or surfaces, like, on Route 7 in Richfield, they use these tubes and covered the whole swamp area in order to put a 4-lane highway in, and that's supposed to last 150 years. But aesthetically, this looks very nice as far as, a bridge goes. You can even add facades to it.
Yep.
But, a 40 or 50 year lifespan isn't very long in the scheme of things.
Well, I won't be wrong.
Maybe none of us will. But Bob will.
Yeah.
He'll be around.
What do
Any
you
other?
think, Mr.
Yeah,
Chairman?
Anything else?
Well, so I guess I was going to say, does anyone else from the commission have any comments on potential design that we would see as part of an application?
I like the COVID idea,
Yeah.
to be honest with you, because obviously it's a longer term solution than the bridge.
Okay.
I think that would be a good option as long as there's sort of maintenance things put in place every 10 years to give a lifespan more of a chance on it,
Yep.
Yep, I
Great.
tend to agree. I think the culvert certainly looks the best. And, assuming that we, as a commission, I think generally we owe it to the public to make sure that we have an unbiased opinion on the wetlands. I think it's very, very likely that opinion comes back exactly the way as the professional on the panel here today has explained to us. That said, I think that the culvert certainly obviously is cost beneficial too, and I think looks the best. I cross that bridge pretty regularly with my family, and it's sort of messy, and a lot of trash flies over the sides. I think that this trail and this culvert idea looks pretty good, at least in my humble opinion.
I agree.
Okay, so applicant can take our comments into consideration. Really just kind of as far as next steps, whenever we receive an application, we'll set a site walk just like we did with one tonight. We'll go out as commission with your engineer, review the site. We typically like to see wetlands delineated, any kind of corners or stakes marked out that we could see the size of the structure while we're out there. Due to what looks like to be permanent impacts, this would most likely go to a public hearing. So we would hold one of those at some point then too. So I guess any questions from the applicants?
I don't think so. You just actually hit on the last question I had was about the public. Kathy was kind of prepping us for it, just trying to understand the next steps. So, so personally, I don't have any comments, but I do appreciate the feedback that you guys all provided us, and I think we have direction, say a safe direction, and can provide a good plan set.
And this one would I don't want to speak for you, Kathy, but this one will probably go to our town engineer for
Oh, absolutely.
town
Yeah.
review as well.
Yeah.
Since it's a large structure.
And that would be after or during the application process?
During the application. So as soon as it's received, we make arrangements to send it right to our engineer for review. And then we just typically need to wait for their review before we start a public hearing, so that, you know, it gives the application time to, you know, incorporate any comments that come in, make changes to the application before we start the public hearing.
And then if
Great.
you decided as a commission that you wanted to do the third party, as Ryan suggested, we could send it out then as well.
Okay.
Sounds
All
good.
right. Nothing else for me. Yeah. Appreciate your time and feedback.
Okay. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Good
Thank you,
night.
gentlemen. Good luck. Ma'am,
Thank you.
good luck.
Okay, we'll move on to item agenda number 6, administrative review. There was no commission applications or WEO applications, so I guess staff, Kathy, we could do your staff report for this month.
So yeah, but it's funny because I have some violations, but they're title, not inland this time. I did send, just kind of for fun, I did do a report. I attended a vernal pool seminar, if you will. It was at the Audubon in Old Lyme, and it was really interesting. I learned a lot, and so I kind of did some bullet point facts of things I just wanted to share. And then I also did a webinar on riparian buffers. And again, I did bullet points with items to share. So, you know, I always like learning more about wetlands, and I thought you might like to look and, you know, find out some new things as well, or maybe refresh some old facts. But other than that, I don't think, Sherry, we have too much to report from the office standpoint from wetlands at this point.
You issued a WEO permit?
Yeah, had a couple of those. But you know, again, it's for items out of the 50 feet.
Yeah, let me
So-
take a look at the correspondence that I did see if anything was outstanding. Let's see. No, I'm not seeing anything. The Yukon Clear is probably going to have programs for new commissioners. And I think we sent something out about that, but I'm not positive. Anybody can go online to Clear, it's Yukon Clear, and see what programs are available.
Yeah, right now there's still the commission member training through the Connecticut DEEP.
That's right.
It's a 3-part training. It's changed over the years. I've taken it a couple times, and it was in the field and it was online. So it depends what they offer, but it's self-paced, which is nice. And you know, if you have any questions or anything, please call me or email me, stop by the office, and I'll tell you about it. It's a great thing to do, especially as a new member.
Yeah, Kathy, since we have a couple new members, would you mind seeing if you could find that, like the website link, and just send that out?
Oh yeah,
to
of course.
everyone
And I
else?
have to say, they all came in and met with me and Sherry, and you know, we had a nice conversation about wetlands, and I hope I didn't overwhelm them. I tried to give them a big conceptual view of what we do, and you know, a lot of other things. And Sherry went over a lot of the administrative pieces with the applications in our website and the agenda links and things. So, but I'm really happy to have Tom and Chris and Doug with us, and new members. And if anybody, you know, and Tom, of course, yeah, if I'm missing someone, but you know, as I told them, please come in anytime with any questions. I'm happy to talk to them.
All right, thank you, Kathy. Sherry, you talked about correspondence already, so I don't think that there's any.
Yeah, it was really nothing. It was the vernal pool that Kathy talked about. I sent that out to you today. I don't know if you had a chance to see that in your email. It's also in the document center for tonight's meeting.
Yeah, in your free time, if you get a chance to pee, it's just really interesting stuff. I think the vernal pools are fascinating, and I mean, there's a lot of facts. But one thing I really thought was quite interesting was Old Lyme has a 400-foot upland review area, which I thought was quite interesting because they talked about the paths that the the different species have to travel, and that was a big takeaway. But there's just a lot of really interesting things. So if you get a chance.
Thanks, guys. Item agenda number 8, old business. Does anyone have any old business that we need to discuss tonight? Nope. New business. Okay. Any additions to next month's regular monthly meeting?
Probably just that, again, what you saw will probably come in as an application for the bridge. So that'll be a new application if they have everything for next month's submission.
Okay. Chair's comments. So only comments tonight. I just want to welcome our new members, Thomas and Douglas. Thank you for joining. We actually have a full commission for the first time since I've been on the chair. So 3 alternate members. So, at least my plan with alternates, we want to make sure we keep it fair. So I think, Sherry, if you could help me just track which alternate members are seated for the prior meeting so that, if one week we seat Rob, then the next week I want to either seat Chris or Doug.
Right.
And just do it on a rotation.
Yeah. I'll do it that's how I usually do it. I just go right in row. And then just remember that if someone is seated or just remember that the alternates should come to the meetings, because if somebody's out the next meeting, they might be asked to sit in and have to make a motion or have to act on an application. And we try to keep the same alternate on an application if that starts, if need be. In other words, we would seat them.
Yep, good point.
Until that application is finished. And
as alternates, please, join in discussion and asking questions, really just as an alternate, the only thing that you can't do is vote on an application, but you can still participate, give your opinion. And, we really look for everybody's opinion on this board. So those were my chair comments for tonight. So with that, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, do I have a second?
I second.
Okay, Ryan, any discussion? All those voting in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, anyone opposed or abstain? If not, all right, thank you, everybody. We'll see you at the site visit. If not, just contact Kathy and try to get together with her to be able to see the site for the new application.
Bye, everyone.
Have a nice evening.
Oh,
Thank you all.
Scott, you finished the laundry room.